Do you want to hear my dream that I had?
Oh boy.
You don't have a choice. I am going to tell you, just so you know that was a rhetorical question.
Okay, then I guess I'll just say yes to preserve our friendship.
Thanks. So it's relevant to your interests. I had a dream that for some reason I adopted 6 guinea pigs. 6,
Whoa.
not 2, which is a good starting point if you have not had little critters around, but 6. And they were all different colors. One of them was really, really like chubby and cute.
Hmm.
And I could I could not handle them basically.
Mm,
For
yeah.
some reason, they weren't in a cage. I don't know why. I don't know why. Dream Me wanted free roaming guinea pigs.
Okay, so you're just wandering around. Where was Basket?
I don't know. I think she
Okay.
was like upset with the guinea pigs and like didn't want to fuck with the guinea pigs either.
Okay.
But yeah, so I have all these guinea pigs, and so I ask like a friend to help, and they're no help. I'm like, "You're letting
Okay.
the guinea pigs like get through the gates and like what is going on?" And then the little chubby brown one wanted to just be in my arms all the time. So I had to keep holding that one while trying to
Okay.
like herd
Okay.
these other 5 guinea pigs. And then Dream Me has a meltdown because
Okay.
she cannot handle the guinea pigs. She's just
Uh-huh.
like, "Why did I
Why
adopt
did
so
I
many
do this?
guinea pigs?"
Why did I do Oh,
I'm like
as if it
crying into this
as
little
if it
guinea pig in my arm.
as if it was something that happened to you and not something you voluntarily went out and did. And
I know.
and you went from 0 to 6 guinea pigs.
I know, I don't what is Dream Me doing?
That's so many guinea pigs. I have 2 guinea pigs, and uh, they are a lot of work and time.
They
I spend a
are.
lot of time just maintaining these guinea pigs' ability to live on Earth,
I
and
know, like, they have to have enrichment and, food all the time and affection,
and
but
you
yeah,
do not unless you have a guinea pig, and like I'm gonna say this, and everybody listening is gonna be like gonna picture something. They're gonna picture what they think is a lot of poop. Um, Now I don't like this word, so but I'm gonna say it anyway because I just don't like the word poop. I don't like talking about it. But that is all. But I have to tell you guys, there is so much poop. Like you will clean the guinea pig cage of poop, and then if somebody comes over 3 hours later, they'll be like, "Why don't you ever clean this thing?"
Oh, no. Why are
They
they pooping that much?
they go to the bathroom so much,
God damn.
and
What are you
so
feeding your guinea pigs?
if it was and sometimes I'll go like 2 days, right, without sweeping out their cage, and I find one of them in, like, one of their little houses lying on a literal pile of poop, like, just lying on it like, "Oh, this is comfy. This is a comfy space to lay down in."
Nice and warm and mushy, I
Well,
guess?
it's not
Oh.
no, they're hard and firm, and
Oh, now they're
they're
hardened,
they're
great.
well, no, they always are. They come
Oh,
out as, like, little pellets. Mostly they
okay.
eat hay. Um, but yeah, so if you had 6
Yeah.
within a day, they would have made enough poop to climb on and get out of their cage. To like build a mountain, build a staircase with which they could escape.
And keep in mind in the dream, they were free roaming, so they were
Oh, right.
pooping everywhere. Why did I dream about this?
I I really could not tell you.
Is this your fault?
No, nothing. I all right. We've talked about this before. Do you Nothing is ever my fault.
Except this. It's your fault because I think about your guinea pigs, which is weird and not weird and kind of creepy now that I say it. And they're so cute and they make little noises. What is it
Uh-huh.
called?
Weaking.
Oh my god,
Because it
weaking.
sounds like they're saying "weak, weak, weak, weak."
Oh my god. See, this is why I got 6 guinea pigs.
That would have been so much noise in your house too. what guinea pigs do, is ask for food. So that would have been your whole life.
That's my life now. I think I'm gonna do it. Sounds great.
Okay, you do it, and then we'll report back.
Every time we podcast, there's just like little weeking everywhere. That's so cute.
I thought you were
I
gonna
would
say.
listen.
I thought you were gonna say every time we podcast, you have one more guinea pig than the last time.
The visual of that is hilarious to me. Anyway, that's my dream. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm gonna start the music now.
Okay, thank you.
Hey everyone, Pushing Up Roses here. Welcome back to Save Your Game. With me, as always, the very knowledgeable about guinea pigs, Matt Ocamp.
So when I have dreams about guinea pigs, it is often that I have left one. I've left one somewhere, or rather, I've left two somewhere, and I've returned to them after a number of days or weeks, and been like, "Oh my god, I cannot believe that I forgot about these guinea pigs," and they have bred, and there is now like 8 of them.
Oh god.
That is every single time I dream about guinea pigs. It is I've forgot about them and then found them somewhere. They've reproduced, and now there's so many more guinea pigs.
Man, I am so glad that somebody else dreams about guinea pigs and not just me.
But hi everybody. Yeah, I'm Matt Ocamp. Welcome back to Save Your Game. Also, you can stop emailing us about warm beer.
What?
We got roses.
Oh god.
We got so many emails from people in the UK being like, "We don't drink warm beer."
Sorry, my bad. Matt's bad, really.
We got so many emails of people being like, "Actually, the beer is, we call it cask temperature, and it is just normal temperature beer,
Ew,
and we don't have to." We don't have to make our beer so ice cold that you can't even taste it. And it's like, okay, all right. And then it's like, here's 3 more emails. Now, granted, I'm not pointing a finger at any one of you. None of you knew that the rest of you were doing it.
That's true. You probably thought you were the only ones, and then,
Right.
yeah.
Right, if you knew we had already gotten all these emails about beer temperatures, you probably would have been like, okay, they got enough of it. But you didn't know. So you were all off the hook before this episode. But from now on,
if you do it again, so help me.
From now on, I think you can stop emailing us about the temperature of UK beer.
Oh my god, you're right. There are definitely emails in here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone, for your input.
Thank you, everybody, for your indignance. And we are sorry. I believe we even said in that episode, I don't think this is true, but this is what I've heard. But
for some reason, Matt, you always like say stuff that gets us a lot of emails. It's your fault. Even though it's never your fault. I don't know. Kind of seems like it is.
The thing, so this one is actually a little hard to discern, but because we know it's not my fault, we can work backwards from there and figure out the logic here. So if I say it and it generates a lot of emails, it must be the fault of the people writing the emails for thinking this was something to have to email about.
Wow. Such a dude, honestly.
It just so happens that that's just the case, and I don't.
Okay.
I can't.
All right, Matt. What are we talking about today? What are we doing? What's on the docket?
Okay.
Is that the right word? Docket? I gotta look that up.
I think that's the right word. I mean, unless you're trying to say something really wild that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, then docket, is the right word.
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah, it is. It's
to
like
make
what's on the agenda.
It says, but it to place on the docket for legal action.
Yeah, it's like what's on the legal agenda. So your docket is like
Whoa.
what is due in court today? What cases do you have hearings for?
All right, Matt, what cases do you have hearings for today?
Well, I've been playing. Okay, I I beat Lorelai and the Laser Eyes.
Thought you beat it last week. God, you've been talking about this game so much I can't
I
even.
told you guys I beat it last week. Okay, I played Lorelai with an A instead of an E.
Oh my god.
I played it.
I think you might like this game.
Lorelai, the other it's the other Harvester Games game.
Oh, I
That
didn't.
one is the one I'm
Oh,
referring
okay,
to. Yeah.
okay, okay. Sorry.
No,
What are
why would
sorry,
you
what are the
possibly be
odds that there are 2
confused?
Lorelei games?
Why would you possibly be confused that I'm playing 2 adventure games called Lorelai? How could that possibly be confusing to you? I just
I
don't understand.
just, I'm a dumb. I'm just a dumb woman. Yeah, I know what
Um,
you're talking about now.
I've been playing Lorelai, and I don't know if it's my favorite Harvester Games game,
Okay.
but it's up there. It's really, you know what it is? It's got the best graphics of any of them, and which is
Mm,
weird because I, it is not their earliest or their latest game.
it is not.
Yeah.
Huh. I thought it was. Man, I am not on
Um.
point right now. I'm just gonna look this up real quick.
Yeah. No. Burnhouse Lane is a more recent game,
Oh yeah, you're right. I did not realize that Lorelei was from 2019.
and Burnhouse Lane is pretty, but it is a little bit more like the Cat Lady in its like clunkiness, and
Yeah.
Lorelei is so polished. It's
Hmm.
really I find that really interesting.
It looks
Um.
nice. Yeah, I'm looking. It's more colorful. That might
Mhm.
have something
Oh
to do with it. It
right.
definitely has. It's still that collagey kind of feel to it, which I like.
It
I actually
which
really like that a lot.
it doesn't feel like that in the game though. Is I
Yeah.
think what I'm saying is like Burnhouse Lane feels very collagey,
Yeah.
and obviously Cat Lady feels collagey.
Yeah.
Um
Definitely Cat Lady feels very much like a collage. Yeah.
but Lorelai kind of doesn't. It all feels like like singular like solid pieces of work. Like every background feels cohesive.
That's
Um
cool.
and once again, it is just chock full of references to the other games.
Is it related to the stories of the other? Is it like a it's not a, it's obviously not a continuation, but is it in the same world?
It is definitely in the same world, and it involves the Queen of Maggots, and
Okay.
it explains why the Queen of Maggots called herself Lorelei, but it's a little bit of a cop out.
Okay.
Uh, unless there's a twist on that at the end that I haven't seen. I'm not done yet, but I don't
Okay.
know. I'm really really liking it.
Oh, cool.
So just to add to our Harvester Games discussion from several episodes ago,
Very nice.
I'm really enjoying Lorelei. I think you remember when I said play all of them or one of them and
Yeah.
not two of them? I
Yeah.
think Lorelei's I think if you played one other one and Lorelei, I don't think it would ruin your experiences.
Oh, nice. Nice. Or you could just play Lorelei if
Just
that
play
sounds like your
Lorelei.
jam. Yeah.
Um, Roses, what's on the docket for you?
So I said I wasn't going to, but just in preparation for today's game that we're covering, I did go back and play Detective Grimoire,
Okay.
the first Detective Grimoire. And like I said, I had played it before, which
Right.
is why I kind of wanted to talk about the game we're going to discuss. So I was like, you know what? Let's just take another look at it so I can like refresh my memory. So I went through it and played
Mhm.
the whole thing.
I did
And
too.
and you know what?
Hmm.
I liked it more than when I first played it several years ago when it first came out. I don't really know
Oh,
why, but
interesting.
I have a theory, and it kind of ties into the other game that we'll be discussing.
I have, yeah, and I think we should wrap that into our other discussion because yeah, I have some feelings about I have a lot of feelings actually about how the two compare.
Yeah.
Um,
They are
but
quite
you,
different, and I am glad I went back to play it because I think now I'll have a better,
yeah,
like, refreshed memory of things, but I wasn't going to because 'cause I'm like, "Ah, I already played it years ago," but it was a good idea. I had forgotten, many things. I'd forgotten how the UI was a little different from,
right.
the game. Should we just say the game we're discussing?
Yeah, we're talking about Tangle Tower today.
Tangle Tower, everyone. So, yeah, uh, I'm glad I replayed it. It's a short game, so I was able to get it completed in, like, 2-ish hours, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let me pull mine up. It took me 109 minutes. So yeah, same
Okay.
about the
Oh,
same.
wow, 109.
Yeah.
You beat me.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to show off. It's
You
not
know
my
what, though?
fault.
I think with those games that have voice acting, I think sometimes I do this too, I don't always listen to the full dialogue. Sometimes
Yeah.
I will click along if I'm getting fatigued, and obviously that's gonna make it, less time. I
Right. I
don't know if
feel
you do that, but I
I did
I
that a lot in Detective Grimoire because
okay.
and this is it's the silly things that seem so ridiculous to complain about in a review or on a podcast, but while you're playing, have this like significant effect that feel really petty. But everyone in Detective Grimoire pauses for a second before they speak.
Mhm.
And that is so when you want to listen to the dialogue, that is so frustrating
Yeah,
because then
yeah.
you just end up hearing just like so then you end up kind of clicking through, but you don't hear any of the dialogue. Like you
Right.
just hear like "Th- uh, th- right where it's like in Tangle Tower, I was skipping dialogue sometimes, but I was hearing like about half the sentences before I
Sure,
moved forward. And
sure.
I do think again, as petty as that is to complain about, I do think that's something game designers have to keep in mind is like um if we're just sitting if we are able to read along and we're reading faster than the voice actors and we're just sitting there watching talking heads,
Mhm.
your voice actors should probably speak pretty fast.
Yeah, I go back and forth on that because I was always told, when doing narration or doing speaking, to speak slower than you think
Right.
you should be so people can actually really analyze and digest what you're saying. But I get what you're saying though, because there are times in adventure games where I really feel that the characters are talking way too slow.
Mhm.
And I do think there's a difference between, like, say, giving a speech at a lower speed and talking conversationally. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
So these characters are supposed to be talking conversationally, and when you're talking so slow, it kind of takes me out of it, you know?
And I think one of the reasons people say, especially in audiobooks, to talk way slower than you think is because people can speed it up if they need
That's
to.
true. I find
And
myself often doing that too in YouTube tutorials. I'll speed
yeah.
up things a little bit, or even slow it down if I'm doing a tutorial. Sometimes I
Yeah.
just slow it
If
down,
I'm
but
listening if I'm watching a YouTube video that's educational, I'll usually speed it up. I listen to almost all audiobooks
Mhm.
on a faster speed. I never do it with podcasts because podcasts are conversational. And I
Yeah.
think I'm going to insult some listeners who are doing it right now, but I think it's a little unhinged to listen to podcasts because they're here for entertainment
Sure.
and it's people talking. So you're not just trying to absorb information, right? When
Right.
you're listening to a podcast, you're supposed to be enjoying it. It'd be like, all right, I'm gonna go hot tubbing, and then you jump in the hot tub, and you're like, okay, I've touched the water and felt the temperature. I'm jumping out of the hot tub. What's next?
Yeah.
Right?
I
Like, it's
I
just enjoy yourself.
I find I am a little guilty of doing that, but only this is so bizarre. Only when I'm like, "Oh, it's really late. I gotta sleep, but I have to finish this video. I have to finish this podcast." So I try to, like,
Oh
squeeze it in
wow,
because I'm,
that's
like, so far
so
in. I'm like,
interesting.
"Oh my god, I gotta finish it right now."
Somehow that feels so much more excusable to me. I don't know why, because I feel like that is probably a pretty unhinged thing, but to me, that makes perfect sense. And I'm like, oh, I should start doing that. You know, uh, so on characters speaking slowly or fast, right? There
Mhm,
is nothing worse than playing like a narrative game where there's a walk and talk.
mhm, yeah,
Like this is especially the case in, say, action adventure games, right?
sure.
Where there's narration, or there's another character walking with you and talking to you, or there's somebody's talking to you over a walkie-talkie or whatever, and you
Mhm,
get to where you're going and you have to just stand there or walk in a circle because you want
yeah,
to hear the dialogue. There's nothing on earth worse than that feeling in a video game, right? Like
yeah.
like it happens a lot in the Star Wars, like Jedi Fallen Order
Oh, does it? I haven't played those.
and Star Wars. What's the other one called that people were really mad about because it was released with all those bugs?
Uh-oh.
Um, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. It
Okay.
happened a lot in those games where I'd be walking and I'd get where I was going, and the other person's still like, "Yeah, I've been on this planet for 30 years, and
Yep.
I've seen so many weird aliens come by here. I'm a Star War," and I'm like
I'm
standing
a
there, just
Star
like,
Wars.
God, I want to go hit stuff with my lightsaber, but unfortunately, I care about this story.
Yeah, they do it somewhat in the newer God of War games, but
Oh
to their
yeah.
credit, they seem to have a better sense of timing than some of the
Okay.
other games, and they do it in LA Noire as well. And I
Okay.
think that those conversations, I think, are just cut off, if I'm remembering correctly. Like, if you're in the car
Mhm.
driving with your partner, you'll start talking, and I think it just somebody will have to let me know, but I wanna say it just
Yeah.
cuts off, but a again, that's kinda
Well,
incidental dialogue. It's just like, "Yeah, my wife and I had some it's not like
yeah.
story
Yeah, I
dialogue.
guess I guess that's the case for this too. There
Yeah,
are definitely times in games where it's narration, it's stuff that would be, useful to know if you're curious about the story. But
yeah.
I know a lot of games do that thing where it's like Uncharted does this, and I think the Star Wars Jedi games do this, where they'll say, "Hold that thought," and then do
Right.
something, and then if you go near the character again, they'll like pick up where they left off, and the character will be like, "So what was I saying again?" But
What was
uh,
I I think God of War does that, if I'm recalling correctly, it's like, "Hang on a second."
in Star Wars, though, when you come back to the character, they start the dialogue over again from the beginning.
Ugh,
And you're like,
no!
"Oh no!" And in and in Uncharted, I remember getting to the point where I had built up so many of these wait, hold on a second conversations that it
Uh-huh.
was like the game got confused of which one was the last one was told to hang on.
That's great.
And then it just, yeah, I remember specifically like driving through the desert with Sully and someone else, and there just being so many conversations that it just turned into like a chaotic jumble every time I got back in the car.
That's amazing.
Um,
So fun. I love that. I don't know. That's seems like a bug, but it's also funny.
so okay, so we're talking about Tangle Tower today.
Yes, we are.
Do you want to uh, jump to a break and then come on back and talk about this wacky detective?
Wacky. Yeah, let's do it. Let's put on that song that I
I
play.
thought I thought you had a name.
No, I don't have I have nothing.
Uh,
Hey everyone, welcome back to Save Your Game. I'm Pushing Up Roses. That's Matt Allcamp.
hey, how's your break?
It's good. How's your break?
Good. I'm drinking some black raspberry sparkling water. It's got two Z's
Ooh.
in it.
Oh.
That's cool
Ooh,
guy stuff.
like razzle dazzle. It's like Bob Fosse sparkling water.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, so Tangle Tower.
Mm-hmm. I got thoughts. I got
What do you,
thoughts, man.
what do you think about? Let's start with that name because until I played this game, my mental image of what Tangle Tower was so different.
Same. Yeah. I don't like the name
Yeah,
of
yeah.
this game. I understand having played it. I understand why they named it that.
Mhm.
What's really interesting is it is a Detective Grimoire game. Like that is the recurring character. It's by
Yeah.
the same devs. SBF, is it SBF Games?
SFB. It's
SFB
it's
Games.
State Farm Bank
State Farm
games.
Bank. They got a games division. Yeah. I I didn't even know. Like if I had seen Tangle Tower in a list of adventure games, I would not equate it to the style or the same world as Detective Grimoire. So I
Right.
thought this game was going to be like super hyper puzzly, I think. I did not expect it to be like a closed circle Agatha Christie whodunit, type of a game.
Right. Well before I knew what it was, and I just knew the name, and people were talking about, oh, there's this really great game, Tangle Tower. It's an adventure game. I assumed it was some sort of hybrid, right? Like I
Yeah,
assumed it was some sort of like action adventure game or casual adventure game or adventure
yeah,
game with like some weird I don't know, arcadey elements. And
yeah.
it's not that at all. It is
There is not.
just
Yeah.
it's like yeah, it's like a detective like deduction game.
Yeah, and I wish it did have a name that it more implied
Hmm.
that it was maybe they didn't want to do that. Maybe the devs were trying to make a strategic decision
Yeah.
by making it a little more vague so people wouldn't dismiss it based on the fact that it is a detective game, but also people who are looking for it might pass it by. It's a tough decision.
Right.
I get it.
And so then there was a lot of other things that surprised me too. I didn't expect such complex and loving animation in this game.
Oh, it's really good. And it's
Yeah.
so Detective Grimoire was also animated and it's pretty impressive. It's actually
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
impressive. It looks great. Tangle Tower is a little bit higher up there. They kind of go in this squiggle vision direction, which if you don't know what that is, Beavis and Butthead, Dr. Katz, it just looks like it looks like 2D animation where the lines are always kind of moving. And I really liked it, and it's very expressive, very,
Right.
very
The
expressive.
characters are really animated. They
Yes,
don't just talk and move their hands. They like move and act and emote. Like it is and all of them have like weird animations they do like there's one guy who just like wiggles his hands and his whole
yes,
body around like he's a piece of paper waving in the wind.
yeah.
There's
That's
like
a good description. Like he's a paper waving. I like
yeah,
that.
they're like everybody has these like very again big animations, and I didn't expect that because all the characters I like the style, but it's a very illustrated style, and they look like stickers.
I love the style. I liked it in
Mhm.
Detective Grimoire. I like it even better in Tangle Tower. Maybe I like both of them. I like the style that they went through. Yeah, it's illustrative, a little bit of cubist, very slightly. I love it. I love how it looks.
Yeah, me I do as well, but you can see what I mean, right? Like when you look at that, you don't expect it to have such life to it,
Yeah, I agree.
which yeah was incredibly impressive to
Yeah.
me.
No, it was really good. I really like all the voice acting.
Hmm.
I know that you're maybe not the biggest fan of Detective Grimoire himself. I do like it. I do like basically all of them. I like Detective Grimoire. I like his sidekick Sally.
So after going back and playing Detective Grimoire, the previous game, so it goes Detective Grimoire, then Tangle Tower, and there's a demo out for their next game,
Yes.
which is called the Mermaid Mask.
Yes.
Okay?
I'm a little confused. Um I am not understanding how Tangle Tower is a sequel to Detective Grimoire. I
Okay.
don't quite. Maybe I missed something. Maybe you can
Okay.
tell me if I missed something.
I
But
think I can, but
okay, so at the end of Detective Grimoire, um, it is implied that the thing that you're looking for, or the person that you're looking for a suspect, and you find that suspect. You find out who did the quote murder,
mhm.
and he gets away at the end of Detective Grimoire. You're also not. I mean, you know Sally, who becomes your sidekick later on. I don't quite understand the evolution of how she became involved as a detective. And I thought the sequel to Detective Grimoire would be trying to catch the suspect that got away from the first game. But that's not it. Tangle Tower is a completely different story with completely different characters, different setting. So what am I missing here?
Okay. So, um, I also don't know how Sally became involved
Okay.
with it seems as if they might be dating, but they're definitely partners.
Yeah.
Because there at some point in Tangle Tower, you see a you see like a map of everybody who is in love with each other, and there's a line between Sally and Detective Grimoire. So,
Aw, that's
um,
sweet.
but okay,
And yeah, that's implied in that is implied in Detective Grimoire, where you meet her character and they do banter and they do flirt, and it's like, oh, she could probably be a love interest. But I'm not quite. I wish I knew that part of the story of how she became also a detective. And like
right.
I said, it seemed like at the end of the first game, we're trying to find this suspect that got away, and we never see him
Well,
again. He's just gone, I
so
guess.
that's something I'm a little confused here. Also, so again, what I was trying to say is, I think it was a really good idea to bring Sally back. She is such a good character.
Yeah.
She was a good character in Detective Grimoire. She is an incredible character in Tangle Tower. I do not think I would have liked this game as much if Sally wasn't in it.
Oh
And
no, she's a great addition. I love Sally. I love the banter. It's really good.
just to add to the voice acting thing, I like Detective Grimoire a little. I like his voice a little bit better now that I've played. Once I went back to play Detective Grimoire, I don't know what changed,
Okay.
but I like it a little bit better. I think he is the worst. He is the weakest of all the voice actors. I think
Okay.
these two games have such phenomenal voice talent. I think everybody is bringing it so hard,
Yeah.
especially Sally. And I think the voice of Detective Grimoire is just a little uh it, it feels like friend of the developer. I don't know that it is. I'm not making that claim. I'm just
Yeah.
saying it's got that kind of feel. Also, a guy hiding an accent, right?
Oh, really? I didn't know.
I believe so. It sounds very much like it to me. So
Okay. Fair. That's totally
which
fair.
probably affects the acting too, but I just think there's some strange acting choices
Okay.
that he makes in his deliveries. I don't know that he's great at delivering a joke, but anyway, uh, I'm confused by what you're saying, because I didn't think the culprit at the end of Detective Grimoire gets away. He leaps into the hollow of the tree to
Oh,
try and
you're
escape,
right.
and then um the the boggy, the swamp monster, comes out,
Right.
and I don't know that we see what happens to him, but I to me I thought it was implied that he got beat up or killed by
Oh
boggy.
God.
And
I guess what I'm. Yes, you're right. That does
okay,
happen.
okay.
For some reason, I disconnected that because Boggy is in fact a cryptid and should not be real, but is real in this.
Oh, right,
In
so
this.
then that's just your focus at
So
that
yeah,
point.
that wasn't my fault. You're right. I guess I just got confused because it did say to be continued, and I feel like it's not a
Right,
smooth. I think it's fair to say that it's not the smoothest transition into the
agreed.
next game.
Agreed. I do. My feeling is I kind of like that in a sequel. I kind of like when a sequel doesn't start like the next day. When the sequel
Sure.
starts in medias res, a completely different situation, and it almost works back to how it's connected. And I think this one does. So, do you mind if we return to this question as we get a little deeper into the plot? Because
Mhm.
I believe I feel as if these two are connected, and
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that notion.
I think we learn a little bit more in this game about who Richard Remington was in Detective Grimoire, and we learn why he was where he was. It just doesn't necessarily the murderer in Detective Grimoire is not necessarily part of the greater conspiracy that we are
Correct.
unraveling, but
Correct. Yeah.
Richard Remington definitely is.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the reason it's so unsmooth for me
mhm.
is that I don't know how Sally got there. I think
Okay.
if I knew,
Mhm.
it's just you just get really thrown in, and some people are going to love
Yeah.
that because that means you can kind of play it as a one off and you don't necessarily need to play Detective
Right.
Grimoire. But I feel like I want something to transition it.
Even just one line
Yeah.
early in Tangle Tower where she's like, "I'm glad you asked me to be your partner. You would have, you would never be able to do this on your own." Something
That would
like
have been
that.
great.
That would
Yeah.
just that would have been fine. Or something at the end of Detective Grimoire where she's like, "I'm a little sick of this island. I think I'm coming with you." Right?
Yeah,
Anything. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Again,
It
I do think
seemed like an afterthought to put her in. That is my opinion on that.
I think you're probably right. And even if it was an afterthought, you can still go back and add right. Any writer knows that you know if you get halfway through a thing and you decide to change something, you go
Mhm.
back all the way to the beginning to start seeding it, right? Like even if you're like, "Oh, I thought of a cool twist."
Yeah.
You go back to like chapter 1, right? And you just start subtly hinting that it's going to like that the story's going there
Mhm.
in very small ways. Like why they at some point I guess decided Sally was in there and then never thought to even say thanks for inviting me along. Like that's all
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
needed.
That I think I would have been honestly, I think I would have been satiated by that, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk about uh the 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 plot, the beginning of where we start in Tangle Tower?
Yes, let's talk about the setup. There has been a murder.
Murder most foul.
It is most foul because this murder is of a 19-year-old girl, which
Mhm,
is very sad.
mhm.
And we are, I guess, invited to investigate on this tiny island, this big mansion with two towers on it, and it's called Tangle Tower. And
And
there are two. Mhm.
much like the Duck Detective, we don't know who hired us.
Yeah, it's one of those. I feel
Mhm.
like there's a lot of stories that do that. Like who? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, right.
yeah. I was gonna say I was gonna try to think of another one, but my brain don't work.
Yeah,
From
I
all the
can't think of
puzzles in
another one
Tangle
either, but I
Tower.
know it happens a lot.
Yeah, it does happen a lot. It's kind of a trope at this point.
Mhm.
But we're in this very cool setting. You know, it's kind
Yeah.
of this very wistful, it's kind of strange island with weird looking water. It looks very magical. And the house itself, it's a mansion with like two towers on it, and two
Man,
families
yeah.
live there, the Fellows family and the Pointer family. And they each all have their own separate rooms, and it's a very Clue like mansion. In fact, the game reminds me of Clue. It reminds
Right.
me of an Agatha Christie who done it type of a situation. And so your main setting is Tangle Tower. And I was overwhelmed at first. You know, you get into this the main setting, right? And there's question marks for each room because you have not quote unlocked them yet.
Right.
And I was like overwhelmed. I'm like, "Oh god. There there's there's so many screens."
I'll tell you this. I love a game that starts you out with a bunch of rooms you can't get into.
Nice.
uh, I was overwhelmed as well because from almost the very beginning, you have like 9 characters you can talk to in 9 separate rooms that you can investigate,
Yes.
and you can ask every character about every item, about every other character,
Uh-huh.
and about what's the other thing you can ask them about? Don't you have 3 categories of
There's
thing?
3. I is there?
Maybe I'm
I
wrong.
asked I definitely asked everybody about everyone. That was maybe my favorite. That was very Lorabo to me. Wasn't it to
Right.
you? Just asking and about
Yeah.
items too.
Yeah. And it does, but yeah, that felt really, really overwhelming because
It can,
it
yeah.
was it was just like, "Oh my god, I don't know where to start. I feel this feels like so
Mhm.
much."
It does. But you know what I like to do in these
Huh.
games? It's a very adventure game thing to do. And maybe you have a different like process for playing these,
Okay.
but I like to group everything together. So when I start, much like Laura Bow, when I start
Okay.
asking people about people, I do it all in one go. So like I went to Fifi, I asked her about everyone. I went to the exploratory parts almost are an afterthought to me when I'm in
Okay.
what I call interrogation mode.
Okay.
And I'm just very focused. I'm very focused on the goal at hand, which is asking people about everybody and then
Right.
asking people about inventory items or clues that I have found. And honestly, that helped. I felt like a real detective taking interrogations.
Yeah.
Um, I really liked the brevity of it. It's not overly narrative heavy, and I like all the settings. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's very character focused, right? Like
yes, it is.
every interaction is unveiling, revealing something new about a character. Even if it's something you're not necessarily going to use for your investigation,
Yeah.
you're learning something just about their personality or about their opinions. And that's like uh, it's really hard to do that on this level.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Um
everything makes sense and everything is kind of intertwined and
much
I
like Tangle Tower is intertwined.
Oh!
Yeah, as much as I don't like the name of as it being the name of the game, I really like the set. Like Tangle Tower rules. And
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a great setup. Do you want to describe kind of like what happened? Like what is the murder? What happened? What are we contending with here?
yeah, absolutely. So you get to the murder, and it is yeah, like Rosa said, it's a young girl who was painting. It is Freya Fellow,
Mhm.
who's a 19-year-old painter living in Tangle Tower. She was painting her Aunt Flora, who is catatonic.
Yeah, I would say so, or just selectively not talking. It's hard to tell.
They s- they
It's
say it's
clear that
from
Flora's
trauma.
been through some shit and
Yeah.
doesn't really want to talk.
They say it's because her bird died and she hasn't spoken a word since her bird died.
Yeah.
Um so she was painting this woman. uh there appears to be a knife in the painting, and Freya appears to have been stabbed through the chest there and was laying on the floor dead.
Mhm.
There is no other there's no murder weapon besides the painted knife, which has blood on what appears to be the tip.
Right.
Right? Like the painting wasn't totally finished, so it's not entirely clear what everything in the painting was, but there is a knife shaped object being held by the subject of the painting, which is the woman Flora. Um, and it has actual blood on the tip, not
Yes,
red paint.
actual blood. And there's actual blood on the paintbrush.
Right.
So
And
the red color, all the other paint pots and paint is normal except for the red, which is blood, which was tested, I guess, to be blood.
some other pieces of the premise that you find out as you wander around in that room. uh Everything is like cracked in half. All the
Yes.
items you find are like have this mysterious crack running down the middle of them. um Other things you find out is that some of these characters hate each other. Should we go through the characters real quick?
Real quick, yeah. If we can do it quickly,
Okay.
sure.
Sure. There is okay. I have little notes about each of them. So there's Fitzfellow, who is a handsome, muscular gardener. There
Yeah,
is
he's like a meathead. Is that what those are called?
yes,
Meathead? I don't know. He's very mysterious though. Doesn't He's a man with not many words.
there's Felix Fellow, who is Flora's husband, and he likes to carve little figures, but he's not very good at it. And he
Aw.
seems very proud of his like past adventures, but he seems a little like a goofy blowhard.
Yeah, he
Um,
is goofy.
there is Fifi Fellow, who is the daughter of Felix and Flora. She is an inventor. She is clearly in love with Freya. Um,
And she is my favorite character.
oh man.
I never got bored of talking to Fifi. If she, it being very scientifically minded, her sentences are very terse and to the point and maybe even a
She
little
doesn't
confusing to Grimoire.
if you make any jokes, she doesn't understand them and she just
Yeah.
takes them literally and
But yeah,
um
her and Freya were very good friends, and I think it is implied that she might have been in love with her.
at some point you find all the couples in the game with lines drawn between them and there's a line drawn between uh, uh, Detective Grimoire and Sally,
Right.
and the only two people on there that are not, that are not on there are Fifi and Flora,
Oh, okay.
and it appears as if like the what I gained from that was that Fifi is trying to scientifically break down what the feeling of love is and why she
Oh,
happens to
Fifi.
feel it for Flora.
And it should be
Oh,
said
sorry, Freya, not Flora. Freya.
her actual name is Fiona. But
My
Freya
guinea
called
pig's
her
name.
Fifi. So
And she seems to often be frustrated with Poppy because Poppy. What did you get? Oh, anyway, we'll get to
I'm
that.
not good. There's definitely tension between the characters. So Poppy is another 19-year-old girl. So Fifi is 19, Poppy is 19, and Freya was
Freya's
19.
19.
So they all lived in this tower and they became extremely good friends. But I think as friends often do, sometimes they just kind of part ways. Poppy even had a full aesthetic change. She kind of pulled the roses. Uh Kind of very, not goth when you were younger, and then suddenly uber goth. Just very
Yeah.
suddenly. So I think the tension between Fifi and Poppy maybe had something to do with their lifestyle changes.
Right.
Just as you get older, they seem frustrated, with
I
each
thought
other.
there was also maybe some sort of jealousy about Poppy being closer to Freya.
Yeah, that could be.
But then again, Poppy had kind of drifted away from Freya, so it's hard to say. Well, anyway, so Poppy is a goth. It's Poppy Pointer. She's part of the Pointers. She's goth. She likes piano.
Yep, she's a musician.
If you ask her about anybody's if you ask her about anybody, she tells you a poem about them rather than gives
I
you
love
an
it.
answer.
I thought it was great.
There's Penelope Pointer, who is obsessed with birds and has bird wings on her hands.
She's so crazy. What in the world?
And she is really mad at everybody all the time. And she's in love with Fitzfellow.
Well, and they are engaged. Fitz and Penny are engaged, but it's kind of clear that I think, right?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, cool. And
Fitz and Poppy are boning on the reg.
Matt, please.
What's that?
They're definitely interested in each other, but I think it is implied that Fitz really does try to be loyal to Penny. He's not like a bad guy, but yeah, Poppy and Fitz obviously have a connection.
I think there's so many indicators that Fitz is also in love with Poppy. Correct. I the entire time thought that Fitz was definitely more than just interested in Poppy, but maybe I was wrong. So
I think it's up for interpretation because the game doesn't directly tell you. It's mysterious like that. Right. All these characters have their secrets.
Then there is Uncle Percy Pointer, who has he's the wavy guy, and he's very recently taken up a strong interest in astronomy, and he loves astronomy and he spends all his time doing astronomy stuff.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah.
That character, man, I don't know what to make of him because his animation and his setting, he's always like bouncing up and down and looking
Yeah.
through his telescope. I'm like, the fuck is wrong with this guy? I
Uh,
don't
and
trust him.
before we got there, he had recently hired a detective named Detective Hawkshaw.
Yes.
We don't know why she's there at first. We just know that she's there for some reason, and she's got a scar and a big cape, and she's angry at us.
And it should be noted that she was there prior to the murder. We're
Right.
there because we're investigating the murder. Detective Hawkshaw was already there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are the characters. Some other stuff about the setting is that there are some rare plants that grow gems,
Yeah.
that grow
They look
fruit
edible.
that's more like a gem than a fruit and are valuable.
Yeah.
There's a golden beetle that lives here and no
Yes.
one has
And
seen for a long time.
yeah. And people are kind of interested in it. There are several characters who have a vested interest in this golden beetle.
The water around Tangle Tower is weird and other it mutates plants and animals. That's why there's weird plants. That's why there's a weird bug. There's also a bunch of weird birds. And this
Yes.
is very important at the end of the game. And I think will be important for the rest of the Detective Grimoire series as they keep making games.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, there's a rooftop garden that only Poppy and Fritz can access. Like you only get access to it from Poppy and Fritz's rooms.
Interesting. How convenient.
Yeah, is that all the major things about the setting and the people?
Yes, I think so. And another aside is that much like any whodunit or clue style thing, there are secret rooms that you will find.
Yeah.
So, the game sets you up with all of the kind of basic rooms, all the characters' rooms, where they are in the game. Penny is in the aviary, Poppy's in the music room, Professor Pointer's up in the I don't know, the upper part of the tower with the telescope.
Yeah, the astronomy room.
Yeah, Flora, for whatever reason, is still in the art room where the murder was. That's a little weird.
Just standing there silently and seemingly by force of will can make her hair go perpendicular.
Yeah, I want to be like her. She seems awesome. Yeah, and then as you go through the game, as you talk to players, you find out more about Freya. She seemed very beloved, so it's actually a little shocking.
Yeah, most of them hate each other, and everybody loves Freya.
Yeah, because she's an artist.
Yeah. Is that how people feel about artists? Everybody loves them?
Yeah.
Oh. I gotta get
Yeah,
into this racket.
everyone loved her. So it is a little shocking that somebody would want to murder her. So you know what, I would say we can talk about the quote puzzles, but really to me, that's not the emphasis of the game.
Agreed.
Those are just like fun little things. So obviously that's not a Rose's thing. That is a Matt thing. These are logical puzzles. These are not fetch quests. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But they're sporadic. They're not annoying. Some of them I would say are creative.
There's about one per room.
Yeah. To open something.
Pretty much every room, has something that you have to open, and there is a logic puzzle. Sometimes those logic puzzles involve hints from elsewhere in the game or elsewhere in the room. Most of the time, the logic puzzles are self-contained. You can solve the logic puzzle just based on what you have in front of you.
Yeah.
And they run the gamut. Some were like a little tricky, but most were pretty easy.
Yeah, most are fine. They're not my favorite, but I viewed them as, because they were being used to open stuff, I just kind of wove that into my story, into my gameplay, and I'm just opening a safe. I'm just opening a lockbox. I'm just doing, I'm just trying to do that, and that kind of quelled my frustrations with puzzles like that. But I don't think we have to talk about those because really, I think the bulk of it is interrogation and using I don't know if it's a notebook case file, using your case file to interrogate people, and obviously finding new settings.
A lot of investigation too. And, okay. the way this game works is like a much friendlier Ace Attorney,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
where you're going from room to room and there's usually a person in every room that you can interrogate. You can look at anything in the room. Like, it's really wild how much they wrote, because you can pretty much click your little magnifying
Mhm.
cursor. It's not really a magnifying glass, it's just like a it's just like an
Yeah.
octagon that spins around when you click on something and zooms in a little bit. But you can pretty much click on anything, and Sally and Grimoire will have like a little banter
That's
about it.
yeah, and I like the banter. It's very cute. It reminded me, I know you haven't played Callahan's, but Callahan's is one
Mhm.
of those games where you can look at everything and everything has a description. That's what it reminded me of. I'm like, "Geez, I'm clicking out a lot of stuff." And
Yeah.
I had to like kind of stop myself. I'm like, "All right, let's let's focus
Yeah.
focus up here."
Same. But you also don't know which of the things you're clicking on are going to turn into interrogation items. So, like, you basically
True.
have an inventory that you're not carrying around. It's an
Right.
inventory of things that you have found that you can talk to people. Some of it you're carrying, but
Yeah.
um, it's an inventory of things you can ask people about. And like I said, you can interrogate people. You can ask them about anything else that you found. And when you discover a contradiction, very much like Ace Attorney, you don't yell objection, but when you discover a contradiction, it will generally unlock a new interrogation that
Right.
you can, like, a special interrogation for each
Yeah.
character.
Like
So
called a suspicion. You can say you have a suspicion now.
right. So if somebody
Yeah.
says they've never been in the kitchen, and then you find their footprint in the flour in the this isn't in the game, I'm just making it up.
Yeah.
But then you find their footprint in the flour in the kitchen. Once you find that footprint, Detective Grimoire will go into like a mind palace, right? And he'll be like, "Huh,
Yeah.
something strange here." And it'll
There's
be like,
something weird about that bird. Yeah.
what is and then the question will be at the top, what is strange about this kitchen? And then it'll be like, it'll have like a list of things, and it'll be like, guy who said he'd never been in the kitchen, Detective Grimoire,
Yeah.
house, shoe print, flower, pencil, like just a bunch of random things. And
It's
then,
kind of like Duck Detective,
oh
where you're
yeah,
kind
and
of yeah.
yeah, you're right, you can
Mhm.
sort of, you make a sentence
Yeah.
um by
And
picking the
some of
right
them are
words.
tricky, some of them are like, okay, I get where it's going, but it's not
Yeah.
too aggravating in term I felt I and we talked about this. I think we both felt that in Duck Detective we were doing some guesswork. We were starting to
Right.
guess and become deflated. Whereas in Grimoire, it is or sorry, Tangle Tower. In Tangle Tower, it does do a great job in trying to guide you to the right answer with interrogation and in clues and things like that.
Yeah, I never got stuck.
Good, good. I don't think I did either. I might have once or twice, but I don't think I got stuck. I
And
probably
that's
got
yeah.
more stuck on the stupid logic puzzles.
And that's not to say I didn't find it challenging. I definitely had to think pretty hard, but there was no point where I was like, I don't know what to do next.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's why I say the game is very good at providing you
yeah,
the
yeah,
information you need to really feel like a detective, to really feel like you're using your noggin and you're really putting things together that makes sense. You're not
yeah.
just doing guesswork, you're really trying to figure this out.
I used my noggin.
I used my noggin.
I used my noggin so much in this game. I got that. I got a noggin workout. I got the
Nice.
noggin badge on Steam. No, I
Noggin badge.
I had the
Woo!
problem. I had that problem much more in Detective Grimoire, where I felt like
Yeah.
he was jumping. He was coming to conclusions before I'd found all the background evidence, and then
Yeah.
he'd be like, "And you can't exit them. You can't be like, I'll figure this out later."
Right.
If Grimoire has jumped into his mind palace, you have to solve it at that moment, which I
Right.
think is a flaw in the game.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
I think you should be able to put it away and store it in a like deductions menu and come back to it when when you feel like you've understood it, because the game isn't always correct
Right.
in uh, determining you have all the evidence you need.
Yeah.
You might have the pieces that fill the sentence, but you might not understand how they connect because maybe you didn't have what, you know, some other conversation yet, or you didn't
Yeah.
see some other thing yet.
And I think that's kind of why it feels to me like Detective Grimoire was almost like a trial. Like let's do something with these characters, with this style, with some of these mechanics, and we'll see how it goes. We'll make a shorter game, right? And they
Let's
did.
let it let's let it bounce around in our noggins for a
And
while, and then we'll do a
noggins.
better noggin game.
Yes, Tangle Tower is, even though it is very it's very similar. It's
Yeah,
similar in style, it's similar in mechanic. It is
but
just a more polished game. It works better.
it's better in almost every single way. So
Yes.
I think you had a problem with Tangle Tower's ending,
I
right?
did.
Which
For me, some of
yeah.
the stories started to go off. Some of the stories started
Okay.
to go off the rails. It
So
started to become a very good story about like uh not cryptids, was the mystids, about
mystids is
mystids.
what they call it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's cryptids that were created. We're about to get into we're gonna get into some slight spoilers. We won't talk
Yeah.
about the ending yet though. But they talk about mystids, which are cryptids that are made by the yucky water around Tangle Tower.
Yeah, they actually exist. Unlike a cryptid, which is maybe, we don't know,
Right.
but
Um
mystids, there you can actually find a mystid in the game.
so yeah, and so I have a feeling that, and I might agree with this, that the ending of Detective Grimoire was a little more succinct than the ending
Yes.
of Tangle Tower, but in every other way, Tangle Tower was better. The gameplay was better. The
Yes.
dialogue was better. It was better to have Sally with us the whole time. The
Yes.
characters were so good. The characters were just so good.
No, it absolutely felt like I was in a true detective setting, a
Yeah.
true close circle, whodunit. Agatha Christie it's very well made. I want to say that. I I don't I was confused by the ending, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we definitely should talk about the ending.
Yeah.
But I do want to finish my Ace Attorney comparison, because I think there is something really like I think there's something that people will find really familiar here, which
Mhm.
is when you do have a suspicion, you are making choices, like dialogue choices, and having to pick the right one, and then present evidence to
Yeah.
back up the things that you're yelling at people. It is very much like the trials. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, the searching the rooms is very much like the investigations in Ace Attorney, and
Mhm.
the interrogations are very much like the trials in Ace Attorney. It's I think just a lot more of a new audience friendly version, because
Yeah.
Ace Attorney, one of those games, takes like 20 hours.
Yeah.
They're so long, there's so many words, and this took about 5 and just really flew by. Like, I felt so entertained the entire time.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. I did too. And I assume that people know by now that if we're doing a lone deep dive, there's probably going to be
There's gonna be
spoilers.
spoilers.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
how it is. If we're really focused,
Uh-huh.
that's just how it is. That's just how it be.
Okay, so Sally killed everybody. And she killed Freya,
No.
and then to cover up her murder of Freya, she killed Flora, and to cover up her murder of Flora, she killed Penny. No,
She was having a bad day. She killed another one. Financial gain. I don't know. Jealousy.
no. so, so the truth lies in these secret rooms. As you go through, you talk to everybody. You might start to get your suspicions up, but you're not really going to start solving the puzzle till you get to the attic.
Mhm.
Um, and that's when you start to realize what I thought was really cool. This idea that the game's implying the whole time that there is a possibility Freya got stabbed by her painting.
Yes, it's implying that, yeah.
Because she was standing immediately in front of the painting. She falls over backwards, dead, and she was stabbed in the middle of the chest, right where the knife would be. And then, from the attic, you look through the cracks and you see exactly down to the spot where she was stabbed, where her wound was on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh fuck, she fell over first and was
Yes.
stabbed second. And that to me was just like, it's because that's so simple. But it's breaking a assumption that you were just naturally going to have and never going to question.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's such like that's such an impressive thing to do in a mystery. It's like find an actual assumption that the audience has made and then subvert it.
Yeah. Also, I think we all knew that it wasn't the painting.
Well,
like
yeah.
there are some quote supernatural elements to this game, but it has nothing to do with the painting. The painting did not come alive. It did not stab her.
It's not like ghosts and
yeah,
and, poltergeists. But yeah, what did you think of? So, as before we get to the ending, how did you feel as the mystery started to unravel here?
I loved where it was going. And you, with any whodunit, you know that there's going to be ulterior motives to something. So in this case, it seemed like a lot of the characters were very interested in that golden beetle, which is a misted. They call it the misted. And so I really liked that it had a focus now. And it's not just characters, not just disliking each other. There was like another motive for a lot of these characters. We even find out that Professor Pointer isn't really into astrology that much, and that he was more invested in entomology.
Yes,
which is the study of bugs.
And that also is really interesting. Like, again, I know that's such a minor thing, but I've never seen that as a character twist in a detective story. It's just like he's pretending to be into one science, he's actually into another, and he's just trying to hide it. Like, that's such a silly and cool thing.
We also learn that there were other people and other family members that once lived in this tower, and they are no longer there. And
one of which is Richard Remington from Detective Grimoire. Okay.
Which is a cool tie-in, right? I think that's very clever. And I thought it was also a cool tie-in to have another, clearly the writers really love cryptids. They love the idea of strange characters. They started out with Boggy, the bog monster. And then they get a little bit more into it with these mystids. The bird, the ink dip bird, and the beetle.
Bird, the golden beetle.
Yeah.
The gem fruits, which I think is also such a cool idea.
Yeah. So there were other people living in this tower, and you can you do get a little bit of a sense by talking to the characters that they were there, but the story really unravels in the other rooms when you're finding notes and photographs and things of that nature.
Right, you find a secret room underneath Tangle Tower, and then you find a secret room underneath the secret room. And what you find is, there was somebody has been deeply, deeply studying this golden beetle.
Yes. Recently too,
recently.
Yeah.
And you find out that, you find more about this, this old secret society. You find this, that there's this, the people who used to live at Tangle Tower formed some kind of society and then all left.
Yeah.
And one of their long abandoned hideouts in the building has been recently discovered by somebody else.
Yeah.
Before you found it. And then I guess it just kind of goes straight to the ending, right?
Yeah, kind of. We also find out that the painting, it wasn't a knife that Laura was depicted holding. It was actually the feather of her beloved ink dip bird that implied passed away. And so she was holding this feather. It just happened to look like a knife. So it is not a knife. It is actually a feather.
I see you've played Knifey Feathery before. Um, so yeah, so then I guess then you find the study, which is in the middle of the tower,
Yeah. Yep.
and then you head back to the original room, and that's where the ending starts to unravel. That you head back to the
Right.
crime scene.
Now, I thought the ending was very abrupt. I was like, what? I felt that there
Yeah.
could have been way more story and way more setup to this entire thing. I felt like we were just starting when we
Right.
found, the secret society and like there's another person that we need to suss out who knows about this. I am So should we reveal who the murderer is?
Yeah, I do want to say right before we reveal it, I thought we were going to be able to do a. There is a room in this game called the parlor, right?
Hmm.
Or am I thinking of Grimoire? No, there's a room in this game called the parlor.
Is there? Which room is that?
The parlor?
I can't like the
Maybe
parlor.
it's
I can't imagine it at the moment.
Or am I thinking of okay, so also after this I played the demo for and we think we mentioned this earlier in the episode. After this I played the demo for
Oh,
Mermaid
nice.
the Mermaid Mask, and maybe there's one of these games has a room called the parlor.
I
Anyway,
think it's the Mermaid Mask, I think.
uh so yeah, I might be wrong about it. It might be the Mermaid Mask that
Okay.
has the parlor, but I still thought we were going to get a parlor scene.
Okay.
Where we got to make our accusation, and no,
Mhm.
we don't. We get confronted by the murderer,
Which
who
is the most
is
confusing shit like I stand by my
okay.
I think it's too vague. I was ready to ramp this up after everything that we had found.
Yeah. Okay, you want to reveal?
Big reveal?
Yeah.
For some reason that we will speculate on. There is one murderer, and it is Penny, or Penelope, the aviary woman who with the
Wings.
weird bird hands. She did it all. She is invested in the Golden Beetle. She wanted to find this secret society, and it was also implied that she was very unhappy in Tangle Tower, and I think
Right.
she wanted a reason to leave. I don't know why you can't just simply leave.
And she is Detective Hawkmore.
Right. Yes. The big kind of twist there is she is Detective Hawkshaw,
Hawkshaw, not Hawkmore. Yeah. So she
which
did
makes
leave a
no
couple
sense, by the way, because how can it's
because we
very
bounce
strange.
back and forth between their rooms
Yeah.
sometimes.
So what is she
Yeah.
doing? Is she just running
She's
back
just
and
like
forth?
leaping out the window, quick, changing all of her clothes, and she's like, I was thinking about that, and I like the visual of it was so funny to me that like I couldn't even get mad at the game. It's
That's
just so
so
funny to
funny.
think she's like leaping, she's just jumping out of the window, and she's just ripping her clothes off, and then like has like her cloak just stashed behind a rock, and she's like, "Hey, I was just standing here the whole time."
It's like a Mrs. Doubtfire situation.
Right.
But like to me, I did find that frustrating. I'm just like, oh well, how was I supposed to really come to that? How was I supposed to come to this conclusion? It
Right.
felt like even though the game was explaining everything to me, I and even though clues were there to suggest Penny, I really didn't have a reason to think that she would have murdered Freya. Um,
Right.
what is your take on that?
It's hard because my two suspicions were Hawkmore and Penny. Or
Hawkshaw.
Hawkshaw. Jeez. My two suspicions were Hawkshaw and Penny.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out why my clues were pointing to both of them.
Yeah, Penny especially had some very like gratuitous clues, and when mysteries do that, I think your natural inclination is to reject it
Right.
because it's that that would be too easy type of scenario, right? But a lot of the early clues did pointer to Penny.
And
Um,
all the later clues pointed to Hawkshaw.
Right. So it's I don't know how much I love that twist just because I couldn't suspend
Right.
my disbelief enough that they were in two places at once and
I
I could, go between them.
Yeah, I hear you. So Hawkshaw was Penny. Penny has left the tower several times and she finds there's some sort of gravity to the tower that keeps bringing her back. So she has grown insanely jealous of and that not hyperbole the game is supposed to is implying that she has lost her mind
Yeah. Yeah.
because she has grown so jealous of these people who she discovered have left the tower, the
Yes.
people, the secret society. She's also discovered that the secret society is a misted hunting society,
Yeah.
um, because the the water around Tangle Tower creates these mistids. They want to find all of them that have escaped into the world and kill them so that people don't, I guess, know the mystery of Tangle Tower
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. That's
Um,
fair to say.
so she was used. So all these other suspicious things that were happening, Uncle, uh, Uncle Percy's pursuit of the Golden Beetle, she was kind of using against him,
Yeah.
to help frame people, to help like throw suspicion off of herself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so uh, one of these people that went to go hunt mistids was Richard Remington, and he was hunting Boggy, who we now know is a mistid,
Yeah.
from Tangle Tower. So much like Echo from Detective Grimoire, she's more of like a bystander than anything else.
Yeah, she is.
The greater story of Tangle Tower and the things that she encounters, the things that motivate her, have tie into this greater conspiracy,
Mhm.
that we are slowly unraveling game by game. But she is not part of that conspiracy.
Right.
Um, she's just been, again, driven mad by it.
And I like that greater story. I love
Mhm.
how it ties together. Um I I love the idea of this weird magical place that is spawning these mistids
Yeah,
that people don't want anyone to know about.
yeah.
I do like the secret society. I do like the greater story. I just don't understand why Penny would specifically target Freya. And I know that Freya also kind of knew some stuff about the Golden Beetle, right? They were implying that she also had knowledge of this Mistid.
So Freya knew about the Golden Beetle. Freya knew that Hawkshaw was Penelope.
Oh, right.
Um, but I guess I don't understand. I don't understand how killing Freya got Penny closer to her goals.
Right.
I don't understand why she would have needed to kill Freya for knowing that secret before she committed a murder. Right? She had nothing to hide
The
at that
best
point.
the best I can come up with is that Freya knew that Penny was Hawkshaw and would tell people.
But again, what would that matter at that point? She hadn't done anything wrong yet.
Yeah, she hadn't done anything wrong. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. See, that's where I'm a little like, it kind of loses me a bit at the end.
Yeah.
I really didn't think it was gonna be Penny. I thought the game was going to guide us elsewhere after
I
it
thought the game
started.
was guiding us to Hawkshaw.
Yeah, it was
How
guiding us
are
to
we supposed
Hawkshaw.
were we supposed to know it was the same guy?
Even if like Hawkshaw was even a different character and then not Penny. I don't know. I don't It's the motive that gets me. It's not
Okay.
if there
So
was a
you
better
understand how
motive.
Okay, so you all the whole time understand how the stories
Yeah.
connect.
Yeah, they
I
connect well. I
okay.
like it. I wanted to know more.
But okay, but you're saying so kind of what you're saying is it feels like it's just a coincidence that
Yes.
brought Grimoire to the next step of this mystery, which
Yes.
I guess you're right. That is true.
And we don't need it, like I think you mentioned earlier, we don't actually do an inquest I believe we go to a mind palace and at the end of Grimoire, where we really figure out who the murderer is and what's really happening. In Laura Bow, there's an inquest. In this one, we get, we interrogate our way to the end of the game. We figure out clues, but we don't actually ever guess who the murderer is, which I think is really interesting for a murder mystery game. We never say it's Penny and
Right.
here's why. We never get to that point. And that's a
No.
bold move. And I wonder just if the devs or the writers thought that maybe it was a little far-fetched and the game needed to give us that solution.
Interesting. Right. Yeah, you're right. We don't guess, she just tells us
Yes.
by showing up. And
Because we've
then
learned too much. It's one of those
yeah.
things.
So why she would have let us well, I guess she thought we were going to pin it on somebody else or something.
Yeah, probably. I mean, some of the game implied that it could have been Professor Pointer because we had established he was kind of a liar.
Right, and she wanted the golden beetle, and she was trying to steal the golden beetle from him to, I guess, fund her way out of Tangle Tower. So maybe she was trying to get us to pin the murder on Pointer so that he's out of the way, so that
Mhm.
she can take the beetle, because I guess their Hawkshaw identity wasn't working to steal the beetle. So she was like, I gotta try something else. I guess we don't know who hired us by the end, right? No
Oh,
one
we
says we
don't.
hired you. I kind of
Oh,
assumed it was
so there's a weird I
Penny.
wanna that reminds me, there's a weird thing that
Okay.
happens. Maybe we can speculate on this. Kind of towards the middle of the game when we're really getting into it, we find this little electronic doodad with a message on it. And it's from Freya.
That's true. Yeah, yes.
What is
That
that?
is very weird.
It was never explained. It was not explained that if did Penny try to throw us by leading us? I don't know. I
I
don't know if
thought
it's a
that was
ghost. I don't know.
I did think I it is weird. Yeah, it's never explicitly said. I did think that was Penny. I did think Penny says she was leading us at points. So I
Yeah,
guess I didn't think about that specific moment or object, but I did think that there were moments Penny implied, yeah, she was leading us to certain things
sure.
so that we would have incorrect conclusions.
See, that got my brain gears going. I thought, "Ooh, is there another part of this story that we don't know? Was she even murdered? Why are we here?" I
Right.
thought we were going to be pulled into a conspiracy.
If like Penny was bringing us here so we could stop Hawkshaw
Mhm.
slash uh oh wait, sorry. Freya was bringing us here so we could stop Penny slash Hawkshaw
Yeah,
from defrauding her beloved Uncle Percy Pointer, not her uncle, but um I that would have been maybe a little more interesting. And then she found out about us because we solved the murder of Richard Remington, who I guess is also like her uncle or something.
right.
That would have been a really interesting conclusion, tied both games together, given us a reason to keep researching this conspiracy.
Mhm.
You're right. That would have been really cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then,
and
I know it sounds like I'm giving a lot of criticism, but murder mystery is that's kind of one of my passions. So we are going to deep dive into why the
right.
mechanics and the story maybe don't necessarily align.
And
But
that's
I
what
mean,
we're here.
I still thought this was a great murder mystery
Yeah.
game, you know?
And criticism's what we're here for. If we didn't think to me, the greatest compliment you can give to art is to really dig into it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And digging into something, you're always going to find flaws and criticisms, but you're also saying, yeah, you're telling the artists that what they made was worth something to you because you've decided to dedicate your time and attention and analysis to it. Um,
Absolutely.
and that's
Absolutely.
so I do think this is flawed. I think Grimoire was flawed. It feels like they set up these really cool mysteries with a lot of really cool characters and really cool settings, and the gameplay is so much fun,
So
and
much
then
fun.
they
Yeah.
sort of fumble it at I don't know anything about sports. The 50th yard line, the
They
10th
just
yard,
face
the
plant at the
30th
finish
yard.
line.
Yeah, what yard line is the last one?
I don't know. Please. I have no idea.
The
50-yard line?
17th
I don't
yard
know.
line. Yeah, whatever it is, yeah, they kind of they lose me at the ending.
But
I don't know.
yeah.
Who knows? Maybe the next game, the Mermaid's Mask, is that what it's called? I keep
Let
saying
me
it and having to look at
check. The Mermaid Mask. Yep, you are
the Mermaid
correct.
Mask. Maybe Mermaid Mask will unveil some of this stuff. Maybe it'll make a little more sense. I don't know
Yeah.
that it will.
And all this
But
criticism, I know that devs even listen to our stuff, and I've given indie devs feedback, and they've taken it to heart and tried to apply that to the game. So criticism is always meant
right.
to to help people with a better product in the
That
future.
that said, I want creators to make the thing they want to make, even if it's not what I like. But I do think, yeah, I think, yeah, I think something about the ending of this game falls short, and I think it
Yeah.
is true about Grimoire too.
Yeah,
Um,
I would agree with that. Grimoire, I think even more. It was just such an abrupt ending. For
well,
me, it was abrupt.
Tangle Tower. So the thing that we didn't say yet is the murderer gets away. She knocks us out. This is
Yeah.
how she committed the murder. She used the golden beetle to knock Flora and Freya over,
Yeah,
and
she
that's
put
where
it
all
in
the
a gramophone, and the vibrations were so that's why everything was cracked
Mhm.
in the art room, as the vibrations were so intense it knocked them out.
And so while Freya was lying dead on the ground, she was up in the attic and she had a harpoon gun basically
Yeah.
and shot Freya in the chest and then withdrew the harpoon gun. She also switched the blood out with the red paint so
Yep.
that people would be like, "Whoa, did the paint
Distracted.
do
I
the
think that was just a
murder?"
method of distraction.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Um and then she's like then it's revealed in her conversation, she's a little too smarmy about all of this, and you're like, why is she like smirking in this way? And then it's like somebody discovers, I think it's Grimoire, who's like, you never took the beetle back, and she like laughs, and then we get knocked out, and then we wake up on the shore where we came in,
Yeah.
and she has gotten away.
I wonder if this is going to be some kind of I wonder if the sequel I wonder if Mermaid Mask is going to be a direct sequel to that.
Wouldn't it be so funny if we never see her again? It's just like the bad guy escaped and has nothing to do with the story from here on out.
Were we talking about making a game or something like that, where we're just like,
Oh,
yeah, we didn't they got away, or
oh
like a
yeah,
show where they just the people
we
just
were gonna
keep
make
getting away.
we were gonna make a police procedural called "Oh Man,"
Oh
and it's
man.
that they never quite figure it out. They always get it just a little bit wrong, or something falls apart, and they
And
don't
it's
get it.
never continued. That's
And
just
they're
it.
just like, "Oh man," and then the next episode's an entirely different mystery.
I love it. But yeah, I want to say that, we're talking about this game because we loved the game. I
I
loved
loved
the
it. Yeah.
game. Yeah.
I loved it. I really enjoyed Grimoire. I loved Tangle Tower. And the Mermaid Mask demo, I'll say this. It is short.
Hmm.
It is another amazing looking setting. The setting looks so cool. The
Nice.
mystery that you're starting to unveil is very cool. It's another sort of locked door mystery that I can't imagine where it's going.
Yeah.
Um, it's a short demo.
Yeah.
So you don't talk to any other you don't get to interrogate any other characters. So I don't know what any of the other characters are like, but what I've seen so far, the setting, the gameplay, and the mystery all look as good as Tangle Tower, and some of the like user interfaces and the graphics are even a little bit better.
Yeah.
So what we're just seeing from SFB games is just a upward trajectory, and that's incredible.
Yeah. I'm very stoked. I really like this. This is what I want character wise and plot wise from a whodunit. I will say
Right.
that I think they got that spot on.
they have SFB Games did make another game that a lot of people have been talking about recently. It is listed on Steam as survival horror
Okay.
and exploration, but people talk about it as if it's an adventure game, and people have been really, really excited about it the past couple weeks.
Okay. What is that?
It is called Crow Country.
Oh, yeah.
It was sort of a sleeper hit. It looks like it was released in May, but I didn't really hear people gushing about it till like June.
I had a few friends really enjoy Crow Country. It's the game that kind of looks like Final Fantasy VII. It's got that early like PlayStation look to it. Yeah, I think you're right. It was kind of a sleeper hit.
Yeah, I remember first hearing it on like the End to the Aether podcast, and then later hearing it on the Besties podcast, and it was like a little after it came out.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was a SFB Games.
Me neither, until we were doing this episode and I was researching, and I think I'm probably going to play Crow Country, but what I'm really looking forward to is Mermaid Mask.
Yes, same. Absolutely.
All right, so do you have anything else to say about the game before we wrap up?
No, I highly recommend that you all play it. I had a great time. I'm glad I played it, and I would play it again.
I think this game is also just this perfect mix of a Matt game and a Rose's game. Right? Like it includes so much of what you love and so much of what I love, and then a lot of what we both love.
Yeah, this is where our adventure game loves come together, is Tangle Tower.
Yeah, so if you like any of the stuff we talk about in this podcast, you're also going to like Tangle Tower.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to throw on prank the tax?
Yeah,
man
I'm going to put it on. The tax what?
Prank the tax man Beano.
Mino.
Beano. His name is Beano. Okay, everybody, we're back. It's Matt. It's Roses. It's your friends.
Hey.
It's your egghead overlords.
Yes, worship us.
Do we want to talk about what we're talking about? Do we want to give a little hint
to what we're talking about? Talk about what we're talking about?
Yeah, let's just do next episode. All right, let's start the next episode right now. Okay.
So many
hi, I'm Matt. This is Roses, and what have you been playing this week? Next week we're going to be talking about another indie game by Atom Brain Games, and it's called Dreams in the Witch House.
I'm excited.
I am very excited.
Looks like a me game.
I have not started it yet, but it looks really good, and I've heard nothing but good things about it. So if you want to keep up with us, give it a play, and then
do it.
Come back to us next week.
Please come back. Please come back.
Please come back. Oh my God, please come back and bring a friend. Bring 2 friends.
Bring a friend. Bring 5 friends.
Bring 5 to 10 friends. But yeah, on that front, let people know. If you like the show, let people know. Let people know that you like it. Let people know they might like it. You know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
We are part of the Adventure Game Hotspot Network. When this comes out, the Adventure Game Fanfare is only going to be like a week away, right?
Wow, are you excited?
Am I excited? Yes, but it is going to be a weird time.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. I'm going to have a lot of fun, and I am excited to see some eggheads there, hopefully. And what else do we got to tell them? What else we got to tell them, Roses?
Please email us any questions you have, or just thoughts on Tangle Tower, thoughts on Detective Grimoire. You can give us suggestions, but please limit them. We get a lot of them.
So many recommendations. That Q&A episode is absurd. We have so many recommendations.
But we did it. We answered all of them. You're welcome. Because we're cool like that. Yeah, email us at mattandroses@gmail.com.
Yay! And I that leaves me with one thought left in my mind.
Just one?
Yeah, just one single thought.
That sounds about right. What's your one thought?
Podcast is art.
I have a follow-up.
Okay. I'd love to hear it.
Art is suffer.